Hey everyone, this is Microphone 6 Music, here to teach you why music works, not just how to play it. So as I'm prepping for this gig that's coming up in like a couple of weeks, in about like a couple of weeks, I wanted to go over something that is I think, pretty useful tool, something that is a skill, something that you can use, not just in the moment, but also in planning for any sort of show or, looking at a song and trying to figure out how to play it, and that is transposing. So transposing is pretty much when we go from one key to another key. So let's say the song is in the key of C. We can transpose it to different keys. We could transpose it to the key of D. We can transpose it to the key of E. And so that the sound is a little bit different, but the chord changes and how they change pretty much remain the same. So I'm going to use the song Mrs. Robinson as an example from Simon and Garfunkel, because that's one of the songs I have to prep for this performance. And in this song, it's written out with all the original chords, meaning that our first chord is an F sharp 7, or that's what it says. For me, the way I'm going to play it is not an F sharp 7, not the dominant 7, but I'm going to play it as an F sharp major chord. And in the beginning, we have this little arpeggiated part mixed with the F sharp major. And we have that in the introduction. As I'm just to let you guys know, I'm looking over here at the sheet music that I have, because again, I'm old school. I don't really use the iPads with the PDF sheet music on there. I'm more so, into the paper and pen thing, or pencil, Anyway, so I'm pretty old school with that. So even for the shows where have all these pages, I still prefer sheet music, the actual physical music. Anyway, so we see that chord in the very beginning, and then afterwards, when we get to the A section of the song, we're still playing that arpeggio with the F sharp major. Then we go to our B7, and then after that, we go to our E, A, D, C sharp minor, B minor 7. And when I see that and I'm playing the chords, I think, well, that doesn't really sound like the original song. And for those of you guys who know Simon Garfunkel's music, you'll know that Paul Simon used this quite a bit in his songs. For those of you guys who don't know, this is a capo. And what a capo does, it basically, it changes the starting note on the neck. So let's say our starting note here, for our first and sixth string, our high E and low E, our starting note is E, right? If I use the capo and I use it on the second fret over here, well, first fret, we'll start with that. That next note for both the first string and the sixth string is F. So now I have a different starting note. So that means when I play this F sharp major chord, well, yeah, let me actually do open chords, because I think that's going to be a little bit easier. I'll start without the capo. So we have our E major, right? That's our E major chord, open E major. Chord all of you guys should know. Over here we have our F starting note with the capo on the first fret, or first position. Now when I play that same E major chord, that's now an F major chord. And it pretty much works the same way as bar chords would work. So if I play the F major bar chord, it's pretty much the same thing. This capo acts as my first finger. And that's very helpful, because let's say you have a chord like this, that D over here. If I want to play that specific position without the capo, then I'm going to have to play it like this. And as you could see from my left hand, that's a little bit of a stretch. Yes, I can do that, but it's not going to be as easy. And also, not only that, you're not going to get that open string sound from that E flat over there on the D string. So having that capo over there makes things a little bit easier, but we also have, again, that open sound. Oh, there we go. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my capo up to the 2nd fret for Mrs. Robinson. And then when I play that E major chord, now this is our F sharp major chord. Because again, if I take that capo off, that F sharp major chord, from the beginning, my first finger is barring that whole 2nd fret. Now I put the capo on the 2nd fret. I don't need to worry about that. Now I can just play that chord with a lot more ease. And again, with the open strings, it's going to ring out a little bit better than our barred chords. And you know, sometimes I remember when I was in high school, this one classmate of mine, he was talking about how his uncle learned "Here Comes the Sun" from the Beatles without the capo. I'm like, okay, as if like that was like somehow impressive. And I mean, yeah, sure, it can be impressive, but at the end of the day, are we trying to impress the audience, or are we trying to give them a good experience, and also an experience in which they listen to the music as they know it? And for Mrs. Robinson, if I'm playing this song without the capo, following these chord changes, it doesn't really sound like the original song. Whereas I use the capo, Paul Simon used the capo. Now I'm getting a little bit closer to the original performance. Granted, I know I'm playing this on an electric guitar, not an acoustic guitar, but I'm just talking about the chord shapes themselves. The acoustic and electric thing, you know, that's something a little bit different. That will have to do with like trying to get the exact tone of whatever song you're trying to play. And if they're using an acoustic guitar, yes, I would suggest using an acoustic guitar as well. For this one, for this particular performance, I think I might end up sticking with the electric guitar, only because this is, from what I can see in prepping for the performance, the only song that uses an acoustic guitar. And I personally don't want to haul an extra instrument just for one song. And for something like this, I actually have a little pedal that emulates an acoustic guitar sound. So I can still get that acoustic guitar sound, granted not as nice as an actual acoustic guitar, but close enough where it will register with the audience that, oh, okay, he's playing with an acoustic sound. So that's the important thing. So for something like this, I might use that just to get a little bit closer to the tone of the original song. But anyway, getting close to the original sound as well has to deal with your playing. And for this, I'm going to use the capo just because A, it's a lot easier, and then B, I'm able to get those open string chords just like Paul Simon used in Mrs. Robinson. So I put the capo over here, and I'm able to play this part a little easier. And I guess we're going to make these chord changes a little bit easier as well. However, when I'm reading the chart, it says F sharp 7. Well, we'll say F sharp major. I know it says 7, but I'm playing a major chord for this. It says F sharp major, but I'm playing an E major because of the shape that I'm using with the capo. So that is transposing. If I transpose the chart to reflect that, instead of having the F sharp major, I'm going to cross that out and I'm going to write E. So like E major instead. So when I'm reading the chart, I'm reading it as if I'm playing. Ooh. Let's fix that. There we go. Nice. That's also something, if you're using the capo, check to make sure the strings ring out nicely, right? You don't want, again, that sound, because that sometimes happens when specifically that first string gets caught underneath the neck. You'll have that horrible sound. So just, you know, when you're using a capo, make sure to be, you know, you check the strings out first before you actually play. Anyway, so I'm playing that E major chord. I'm not playing an F sharp major from the shape. Sound-wise, I am playing an F sharp major. But when I'm reading the chart, I'm not really concerned about so much the sound as much as I am what I'm playing. So when I'm reading this chart, I'm going to write in E rather than reading the F sharp. Luckily, this is not really too big of a leap because I'm just going down a whole step or down 2 frets. So I can transpose this in the moments. So yes, I can read the F sharp major and then play that E major and just do all of that calculating in my head, because that's something that you will have to do. Every musician bumps into that at some point, especially if they're gigging with a vocalist and the vocalist needs to change the key of the song because their vocal range doesn't fit the original, or what is, the original key that's written for the rest of the band. And in those cases, if it happens on the fly, then the musicians have to transpose on the fly. And for guitarists, I don't think they're as used to this as horn instruments such as saxophone and trumpets, because those instruments are written in different keys. So you have a concert key, and then you have the key of the instrument. So let's say for a tenor saxophone, for example, tenor saxophone is in the key of B flat. So that means when they play their C major scale, the sound is B flat. So when they read music, it's written a little bit differently than it would be written for the guitar, which is not in a different key. It's just in the key of C. So again, when the tenor saxophone is playing a C, it sounds like a B flat. So that means when they read the music, they're usually reading it transposed already. So it's transposed specifically for that instrument. Let's say the tenor saxophone reads guitar music. Guitar music is written for the guitar, not for the tenor saxophone. So that means if I'm playing tenor saxophone, I have to transpose those notes on the fly, right? So for guitarists, they're not used to that, because that's not normally something that a guitarist is going to bump into as much as a tenor saxophonist or a trumpet player, musicians like that who are playing those instruments. It's a good skill to have, though, being able to do that on the fly. So with a chord chart like this, it's easy enough where I could do that. I could transpose on the spot, but just to make things a little bit easier for myself, because I don't want to make things unnecessarily difficult, especially if something wrong happens or if I'm dealing with a bad circumstance during the performance, like something happening with my guitar or my sound, and that's another thing I have to deal with on top of transposing the music, which again I could do, but then that's just something added to the performance that I wasn't really taking into consideration. So again, I can do that, but I'm going to write all the chords out as if I'm playing those chords. So again, E instead of F sharp major for this. A7 instead of B7 for this. What's the next chord? We have an E. I'm going to be playing the D instead. And then after that, A, I'm going to be playing the G. Then D, I'm going to be playing C. This B minor, so this D, C sharp, B minor 7, if I transpose it, it's going to be C, B minor 7, A minor 7. That sounds and looks like this. But something that Paul Simon did quite a bit would be that little workaround where he's playing a C, then he plays pretty much the same chord that he just played, just keeping that first finger over here, moving his second finger over here to grab that B note, and then keeping pretty much the rest of the chord, the E over here, F sharp as we hear it, is not going to be played. So we have this chord instead, and then our A minor 7. So instead of playing this, we have this. Sounds a lot nicer, and it sounds much closer to the original. So again, being aware of the original song that you're playing, that's really important when you're prepping for a performance. That's why anytime I prep for a performance, I'm always listening to the songs and trying to get pretty close to what's being played in the original, so that when I play it, the audience hears it as the original song that they grew up with and that they know. Because, you know, for me, even if I don't like a song, I'm still performing it, and my job as a performing musician is to get the audience to hear the song that they are familiar with. And I want to be playing it in pretty much the way that they grew up listening. So I'm going to be doing things like that, is instead of seeing that chord chart for exactly as it is, I'm going to listen to the original, hear what the original musician played, and then get a little bit closer to that, even if the sheet music does not reflect that. Because again, just like I put in a previous video, you don't always want to take the sheet music literal. Use that as like a map for the performing of that song. You're going to change things every now and then with the sheet music, and quite often, I feel like for myself, I do change things quite a bit for sheet music that I'm using to prep for a performance. Anyway, I hope that guys, I hope, can barely speak today, Monday morning. I hope that was useful for you guys. Again, as I'm prepping for this performance, I saw this pop up for Mrs. Robinson, and I figured, why not make a video? Because for you guys, I want to impart my wisdom and things that I've learned along the way. And especially if you want to get paid to play music, having skills like this and being aware of this helps tremendously in prepping the music, helps to cut time in prepping the performance, and also helps you in getting a sound close to the original performance so that when you're playing for someone, they see that you put effort into your part. You're not just going in and half-assing it pretty much. You don't want to do that. You want to go in fully prepared. And if you're fully prepared, then they're going to take notice of that, because as a performing musician, you can easily be replaced like that. Your job is to try to be as irreplaceable as possible. And one thing in doing that is putting on the best performance that you could put on. And by putting the best performance on, that requires prepping the performance. So don't neglect that part of the performance. The prepping usually takes the longest, especially before the group rehearsal. The first group rehearsal, that's pretty much just getting the overall sound together. If you're still not 100% clear with your parts by the group rehearsal, you're probably not going to get called back again. And if you do get called back again, you're extremely lucky and should count your blessings, because that's not always going to happen. Anyway, hope that was useful for you guys. If you'd like to book a lesson with me, you can fill out the booking form in the description box, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. So I'm going to continue prepping for this performance. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay whatever. Rock and roll.